Do you have all the answers as a leader? I'm going to go out on a limb and say the answer is no. And I don't want you to take offense to that. But the reality is, I think for most of us as leaders, we don't have all the answers. I wish we did, but that's just not the case. Leadership is really difficult. It's simple in concept, but it's really hard to apply. And that's because we're dealing with people. But if you as a leader, you've been doing your job for a long time and you think to yourself, man, I got this all figured out. This is easy. Then it might be time for you to do something else. Maybe it's time to retire. Maybe it's time to change assignments. It's just time for a change because you're too set in your ways. And we call that a fixed mindset. You don't want to be stuck in a fixed mindset as a leader because if you're in that fixed mindset, people aren't going to approach you. People aren't going to come to you with new ideas. People are going to be kind of afraid to come to you because you have this aura about you that, you got it all figured out. And so there's nothing for you to learn. There's no reason for you to get feedback or even criticism because you got it all figured out. And that fixed mindset is really kind of dangerous for us as leaders is we want to be in the growth mindset. The growth mindset is where you look at failure as an opportunity to grow and develop. In the fixed mindset, failure is seen as a limit of your abilities. And that's just not true. If that's you, if you're in that position where you find yourself in a fixed mindset, sometimes I find myself in a fixed mindset. You got to try and break out of that. You've got to remember that you're not perfect. You don't have all the answers. In fact, if you really reflect on it, the more that you learn as a leader, the more you realize you still have to learn. At least that's been my experience. And so it goes back to that virtue of humility. Remember I talked about humility as a leadership virtue? If somebody on your team comes to you and asks you a question and you don't know the answer to that question, what should your response be? Simple, right? I don't know. That's the simple response. It's the truth. You don't know the answer to that question. Don't try and BS your way or pull the wool over their eyes or try and fake it until you make it. I hate that expression. Just tell them the truth. Hey, you know what? That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. Let me research it and get back to you. In fact, I'll get back to you by the end of the week. Always give them a deadline. Give them a date and a time. So if you say, hey, I don't know the answer, I'm going to get back to you by the end of the week, and then you get back to them earlier than that, remember you want to under-promise and over-deliver as a leader. Now you have built trust with that employee. Now they trust you because you were honest enough and you were humble enough to admit that you don't have all the answers and that you followed through and you found the answer for them and you actually got back to them in a timely manner. It's all about building trust like we talked about before, but remember you don't have all the answers as a leader and that's okay. Take care of yourself and take care of each other.